to my farm in an Amish neighborhood where simple living's valued. She'd be loved and understood. I put her on a treadle stand and coaxed her wheel to turn. I felt her joy and easing with my study and concern. I cleaned her and I oiled her, showed her off to all my friends, repaired the hurts of years, and let her sew again.
Hello everybody, welcome back. So, I've been busy with all kinds of different things. I've just spent a while trying to get my external microphone to work with my camera, which I now realize I cannot. But I'm going to go ahead and get the machine hopefully put back together again. I'm going to be mixing some old parts, some replacement parts, because she was extremely rusty to start with. And I want to start up here, but I'm not. I think I'm going to start with these vertical shafts here and get that out of the way. So let me go ahead and get my parts out and get organized, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I am going to be starting with the stitch lever fork. And the way it's going to work is inside of here there is this little part of the casting that kind of comes out, and it has a hole drilled through it, okay? This bolt, with a couple of spring washers on it, is going to go through there and screw into this piece, okay? So it'll be like that. This is your stitch length lever. This has a sliding rectangular shaped bearing on it, and that's what this is going to operate, okay? And this is going to angle towards the back of the machine, so it's going to go in like this. So it's kind of hard to show you all that while I'm working in there. I'm going to go ahead and put it together and show you what it looks like. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to come in here because it is going to be riding on this cam right here. Oh, turn on a light maybe. Okay, this cam right here, and you can see I have not polished that up yet. So I'm going to get my Dremel in there and do that really quick so we'll have something really smooth to ride on. That was actually kind of difficult to get it in there, so I'm just going to use a heavy-duty Scotch-Brite and just kind of turning the shaft as I do. And that's doing a pretty good job of cleaning everything out in here. Okay, so I've got it cleaned up. I've got a nice little coat of oil on everything there, so I'm feeling a lot better about that. So I have some oil on this brush, and I'm going to coat the little slides on my fork. Trust me, they are clean. It's just the way things are here. Okay, so now let me go ahead with my assembly, and then I'll show you once I have it all in, because as I'm sliding things on, it can get a bit tricky. Okay, but you can see how that fork is going to ride on that cam. I might put a bit of a very fine lapping compound on there just to make sure that it's gonna get nice, because there was a bit of pitting on here. I'm trying to use as many original pieces as possible, so let me give that a shot. Okay, so I've got it in there, and you're looking at it through the back, so when I turn the lever you can see that fork adjusting. Okay, this is pretty stiff right here. I can loosen up the screw right there and make it easier to turn, but if I do, there's a chance that it'll loosen too much, and then the stitch length lever is going to get really floppy, and if that's the case, then it's going to be hard for it to hold its position. So this is doable. I'm just going to leave it there for right now. There's a plate and everything that's going to go over here, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put the other shaft in first, and then we'll put the plate back on. Okay, so the next piece is this one that has this bottom part. This is going to go over the main shaft up here. There's a top piece that clamps on. I don't believe this had a wick in it. This is a hole that you can drop oil through and it'll lubricate this whole area. I'm going to try not to take any chances with this machine because I believe all of the rust is gone from it. But I am still, going to be coating everything with a very good oil so that hopefully it will always want to stay that way. Okay. All right, on this, if you can see on this side, there's a little line right there, and on this side, it also has the line. So it goes that way. It does not go that way. Okie dokie. And just like the other shaft leaned towards the back, this is going to lean towards the front. So let me see how I can do this here. And I want to put that line so I could see it from the back. All right, and one other thing I want to point out. On the bottom of this, you see it's bigger on this side than that side. It's a conical shape. The bigger side is towards the outside the back, the same direction the wheel goes. That's where the bigger side is. So it's going to go in this way. So got that up against the shaft there. Probably can see it better from the back here. Can you see that? All right, I'm going to actually, there we go, have to, I don't know if I can do this while she's up on her side. I'm going to probably have to tip her down. This is going to go up there, and so putting her regular position so that gravity will help me is going to be a good thing. So let me orient myself that way. Okie doke. Try to let you see, but not get in my way. It's tricky sometimes. Okay, so now I need to get this to be like that, but over the top of the shaft. So if I can get this up there and rotate that shaft, it's going to help me out. Because I want it in the down position. Oh my goodness, Marie. Hang on. Get this back on there. And rotate it down. Okay, see that? Now I have enough room to pop this on top and grab a screw starter. I'm still kind of holding it at the bottom, so give me a second to get this first screw on here. Okay, through this hole in the top of the machine, up here. I'm going to try to get it started on one side first. No, get back on there. All right, that's good. And now I can turn this so that the other side, the other hole, is lined up with this top hole. And I can let this go on the bottom now. Okay. Get this. And looking straight down, I can't see anything. Oh, shoot. Okay, I move the camera, so hopefully you can see. What I am looking for is in this hole right here. Get a little bit of oil on these threads. Through this hole, I want to be able to look down and see the other place on that bracket for this to go thread into. Okay, so that's in there. It's not tight. I'm looking for this skinny little screwdriver I can now put in there and tighten those screws up. So there's one. Oh my goodness. And there's the other. Okay, so if I turn this, now everything is staying put where it should be. All right, but now I'm going to center it, that piece that I just put in, I'm going to center it over that hole. And where that center part was, I am going to drop oil straight in there. So it's going to kind of fill up that little, clampy part around the main shaft. I'm going to throw some in here too. This is going to oil the main shaft inside there. Put some around this edge. I'm going to over oil this machine. I can wipe it off later, but for right now, I think it's good. All that clanging, that's just those bottoms of these banging around. Once they're assembled on the bottom, that noise will stop. Okay. Alrighty, so now that this is in place, I'm going to set this in. Okay, it's going to slide around in that little cutout. Why don't we put a little oil in there? Why not, huh? Around this edge. Just for fun, just to get him used to the new position. Okay. All right. So that's pretty good. All right, all right, all right. So I did paint and re-decal the original cover right here. Okay. So let me go ahead. I have two little screws that are going to go right there and there to hold it on. Okay, I had the camera off when I thought it was on, so I don't know how much I showed, but I put this back on. There was an under plate, put some oil around it, put the new plate that I did paint. Well, this is the original plate that I painted, put that on. Two screws to hold it on. This little knob I have swapped out. This was the original, and it was just the plating is long gone. It's not nickel or anything, and so that's going to work a lot better. But this is still moving. It's moving, not completely loose, but at the same time, like I said, you don't want this to flip back and forth. So if by the time I get done with this machine, it hasn't loosened up, I might back that screw out a little bit, but for right now I'm just going to leave it as is. Here's a helpful hint. If you don't have all your bottom stuff on and you're messing around with this, leave it at half mast, because if you tip it all the way down, the fork can fall out the bottom. Ask me how I know. It's life. It's life. I want to make sure that this little hole here is up high enough that this will be able to reach. Oops, wrong one. Oh my goodness. Please tell me this is not an omen of things to come, Okay. Get this on. And I'm going to put those two screws back on. All right, so with that in place, and knowing I don't want that fork to fall down again, I'm going to actually go ahead and get started working on the bottom before I do that top part. So I'm going to get her set up on my little mounting block here. All right, so down here, lots of things to put in here. I think I'm going to... It would actually make sense for me to put this center shaft on first, but I got this piece out. I might loosely put this in place just to hold it. But you know what? I don't even have the pivot points for it. So maybe that's a sign. I'm going to set this aside and try to get this main shaft out to put that in first. All right, so before I put this back on, a couple things. First of all, See, I have my nano oil in there. I know it's a darker color. That's just the way things are. This is the original shaft, which, trust me, looks a million times better than it started out. This is clean. It's just discolored, okay? I need to put this little blade back on. And there are 2 little screws that are going to go here and there. Okay, so let's get this started. And this one started. If I can, I've heard that there is a much smaller screw starter available at McMaster Car. I need to invest in one of those, I believe. Some of the tiny screws, like on bobbin cases and things, they push you to the edge, you know. Okay. All right, that is on. Okay. This hole down here is where this pen is going to go, and this pen gets driven through this piece. So first of all, I'm going to throw a bunch of oil in here and in here, and push this in carefully, just rotating it all over the place. First of all, well, you can't even see that, trust me. I just pushed it through and I'm rotating it around. I want this to be able to turn freely. Now this actually needs to be here, like that, okay? Alrighty, I need to tell you something, truthfully. I just erased about 10 minutes worth of video because I put this in and started to connect it. Well, I did connect it down here and then realized that's the wrong thing to do because I need to get this piece underneath here first. Actually, it's going to go this way. That has to go in there first. So I've gotten all of this in and I could not get that connected. So that stunk. But let's go ahead and get this put in now. As you can see, this is here. I will explain how that goes in just a bit. I just didn't feel like taking it off again. But I'm pushing this in all the way so that this little shoulder here is right up against the casting. Lots of oil, so that's good. This little hook is pointing down like this, and I can see a hole right there, okay? And, you know, I don't know if I can do this with this thing in the way. I may have to take that off. I hope not. We'll see. Oh, maybe I will. Maybe I will. It's just one screw at this point. Okay. Hang on a second while I take this apart and we will put it back together in a moment because, you know, skipping steps is not good. Okay, taking off this little conical screw up here. Oh my goodness, I should just edit this out too, but you know, sometimes it's good to see that other people suffer the same misfortunes that you do. And that's what I am here for. If you want perfection, oh my goodness, we are in the wrong place. Okay. Sorry, still fighting with that conical screw here. Okay. Move that over here, this over there. All right, so with this down here, I've got this little piece. This is pointing down. I want to be looking at the side that has the little set screw and the place for the pin, okay? And this is going to be riding in this fork here. Okay, that's how all of that works. So while I'm holding it here, I'm going to push this on. It's pretty tight until I can see the hole where that pin goes, and I can see that it's going all the way through. Okay, so if this is here, this is the back of the machine back here. This is aiming at the back of the machine. So now I can get this little pin, and remember, I've got this in place already here. That's the big deal. Put that in place, and find my little hammer. There it is. Tap it. It should go in pretty well. There it goes. Okay, so that pin is in, and now I have this little set screw going here, and it is going right here. And my fingers are slippery, and this is not helping me. So give me a second to get this little set screw on here. Okay, that is pretty good there. All right, this is spinning freely. This is behind it. That's good. You know what? I might as well put this on. I keep one of these pivot points on in place so I know how this needs to fit. Okay, so now it's like that. It's just kind of sitting there. I've got this smaller pivot point that I'm going to put one more little coating of oil on the end, and it's coming in here. Come on. Oh my goodness, Marie. Hang on a second. Camera was in my way. My back was itching. Everything was saying, stop a second and fix it. Okay, so I'm getting this little pivot point lined up there. To get this one lined up over here as I get it started. Okay, and I need to kind of hold it in place because that point is already going into the little depression on the bracket. Okay. My goodness. All right. Now I'm going to turn it in until it stops, and then I'm going to back it off just enough that this moves freely, and then I need to get the little nut over here and get that tightened up to hold the position of that screw. Alrighty. So now that that's just kind of sitting in place, This needs to line up, I can't see, this needs to line up with this hole here, like that. So let me put some oil in. Here. And I'm screwing it in, and I'm feeling for when I first feel that come through. And I think I am now. So I'm going to hold this little nut back here. one thread on there for me, little nut. All right, this is not cinched on 100% yet, but it is kind of held in place. It doesn't feel right to me though. This feels very tight. Very tight indeed. This was just a little stiff here. This is loose, but it was just being a bit stiff. So I think we're good now. Get a pivot point started over here. Okay, I believe I have it pretty close to being correct, but I'm not going to know for sure until I get, all my final tuning done. This screw here can be is an adjustment place. This I need to clamp down once I have this in its final spot. Actually, I need to go in the house and get some stuff done. So I'm just going to put these nuts on here real quick, just so I don't lose them, lose my place. And then I want to say I will be back tomorrow, but I also want to go ahead and get this little fork put on. If I would put it on the correct way, that would make even more sense, huh? Yeah. Okay. All right, and I have the oil hole down at the bottom and the little diagonal lines where the fork is. And I need this to be up above here. Put this screw. Come on, this is the conical shaped one. If I could just get it started here. Excuse me. I'm going to throw some extra oil in there because this is an angry screw. And put this little nut behind it. And try to get some of that threaded as it comes through. I can feel it's doing that, so that's great. Okay. And pivot point. Extra oil, of course, coming through this side just to hold it up. And the same thing, a pivot point coming over here. Extra drop of oil to hold it up. And just loosely put these nuts on. Look, my glove is even shot here. To hold that in place over here and over here. And then I'm going to run to the house and I will see you later. Well, good morning and welcome to the next day. So I have just set this shaft in here. Now, if you saw the take apart video, this deal here was quite the pistol. And it was originally made for a drop feed dog piece that was going to come out of here. That shaft, it's not usable. I was trying to make it work, and it just, all of this stuff just ended up just shattering, and it was just no good. This is from another 15 clone, and it does have the drop feed system, but you are going to have to tip the machine up and do it from underneath here. So I'm going to show that to you in just a minute. But first, I'm getting these pivot points here started. Come on. Just so I can kind of hold it into place here. This machine, because it was so badly rusted to start with, everything is rougher going back in. So I'm still hopeful that, things are going to be good, but I have a feeling I'm going to have to run it and smooth things out later. So instead of just turning a lever up here. This is spring-loaded. This is in really hard. But if you wanted to do the drop feeds, you pull this out. You pull that out, and it should drop the feed dogs. Not sure why it's not doing it now. It did it when I was just holding on to it. Hang on a second. Let me get myself together here. Okay, I had a couple things that were not quite caught, and I think I've got them adjusted. So if this is in here, this is feed dogs is normal, okay? All is good here. To drop the feed dogs, if you pull this out, this is spring-loaded, and I'll oil it some more, but it's going to want to drop like that, okay? And so that is, you know, with the feed dogs lowered. But to put them back up, you push it up, slide that in place. Again, this is being held in really tightly. It's not going to fall out. It's just that this was usually pulled out by a little lever that was attached here. Okay. But we make do, and at least we do have drop feed dogs. Again, there's a lot of things down here. I don't have these pivot points cinched in yet. They are all just hanging out. I think I have this screw adjusted right. This has to do with feed dog placement, but I won't know for sure until a bit later. But right now, I just want to make sure that everything is moving like it should. And it looks like this needs to go in more. So I need to back this nut out a bit. She's a tricky girl. She was terrible, so she's a tricky girl right now. All right, so I'm going to screw this in all the way, back it out, tighten the nut. Okay. All right, I think that is good enough for right now for those shafts. I'm going to go ahead and get the hook mechanism, and we'll see what we can salvage from the old and what I need to get that's new. Okay, this is the original, and it's a mess. It really is. So honestly, I am going to replace this entire little system here. Hang on a sec. Making a mess here. Dropping a tiny screw. Okay. I'm going to be replacing this whole thing with this one. It's really, really important that this can move freely, and even it's just not going to. It's just not going to. So, you know, thank you for your service and everything, but I'm just going to move that over here. Later, I'll see what parts I might be able to salvage from there. But I'm going to be using this one. Okay, so put oil in. Make sure that the hook, should put oil down here too. Set that hook in, make sure it turns freely, and it does. Yay. Okay, this little piece is going to lock it on up here. Yeah, that's going to work. Okay, let's just try it on for size right here, okay? There's a little groove. These grooves right here are going to fit inside these grooves right there. And let's see. I need to line up this hole with that one and this hole with this one. And when I put it in, this is on, there's an opening here. If I turn that hook, it should slide into place. And rotate. Is that good? That looks pretty good. Okay, let me get all of my screws and try it on for size. Okay, so the first screws I'm going to put on, make sure those holes are lined up, are going in the center part here. Come on. Line up for me, will ya? Please, please line up for me. Oh. I guess I need to make sure these screws actually fit these holes. I was just assuming that they would. Yes, they will. They will. I just wasn't lined up correctly. Anyway, let me put that back on. And these two screws that look like this are going to go in this hole and this hole, which is connecting it to the casting. All right, making sure it's turning, and it is. Okay, I ended up taking out the little hook part because, you know, there was nothing to hold it in at that point. So I'm going to pop this back in there. Pop this back in here, and now we have these little brackets. There's a shouldered screw and a spring. Okay, that pops in there, and this gets screwed on in this hole up here. Okay, there's these little nubs, and this is going to pop over that little nub. And these are so if you get your bobbin thread all tangled up in there, to get it loose, you'll just move these over to the side, and then you can pull this whole thing back out, free up your bobbin thread, and then put it back together without having to take apart a lot of stuff, which is nice. Not gonna lie, that's a good idea. Okay, so I'm just gonna get that started up there. All right, so then this can come down and snap over that nub like that. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing down here. Okay, so that's on. I turn it. It is turning, so that's great. Right now, I need to polish up this bobbin case again, but the way it's going to go is this lifts out, so you have a little grip on it. There's a little opening up there, and it slides in, and that locks into that opening. But like I said, I'm going to give this a quick little polish, and then I'll be right back. I'm just going to pop the bobbin in, and it came with a bobbin that has, like, you know, it's that thing where there's like 5 different, who knows how many different threads on it. I may give up soon and just grab a new one, but at this point, I'm invested, you know. I'm invested, so common thing. I don't think that many people, hopefully, do this today, because bobbins are so plentiful. There's no reason not to just put a new one on for a different color. But yeah, you know, do what you need to do. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get her wheel put back on. Some oil in there so it will spin freely, hopefully. Yes, I think I put too much. It's dripping. All right. Ooh, I should probably have had her tipped up. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe this will work. These little tabs don't seem to be sticking out very far. Just going to give it a shot holding this little 3-pronged washer, or 3 on the outside, 2 in the middle, and get this screwed on. Those washers want to fall out. Yeah, I'm going to have to tip her up on her nose, or else I'm not going to get that washer setting correctly. Okay, so with her up here, you know, gravity helps. Got the washer on. Turn this, and let's see if I got it on the right way. Okay. I might have. Put a bit of oil right there. Get this little screw started here. Okay, yeah, if I can turn it. That doesn't feel right. Well, maybe it's just a little stiff, you know. No, that actually is right. Yay. Okay, so I can turn it, unlock the clutch for bobbin winding, turn it back, and everything, well, you can't see, but trust me, everything down at the bottom is moving now. So that is good. Okay, I wanted that on before I started messing with everything in the nose, which I'm going to do next. Actually, no. Change my mind just now. I'm going to do some things here first. I want to, well, there's a thread guide that goes here, But I want to go ahead and get this plate on and the feed dogs on so I can get the adjustments underneath of all of those pivot points to get those shafts set where they need to be. Before I went to show you the thread guide that goes there, thank you for your service, but we're not reusing you. I'm going to be using this one instead. I don't think I mentioned the knob at the end of the wheel is a different one. This was the original one, and that plating was just kind of shot, so, you know, we're going to use the other one. So if you're keeping track of which ones I've replaced so far, we only have a handful. Okay, took a break, got something to eat, put her little badge back on. Nice. And what I want to do now, sorry, didn't mean to knock that, is get the feed dogs on and the plate so I can work on getting those feed dogs in the right position. It's always tight getting these things in because you can't put a big screwdriver down there. So I'm not going to really cinch these down because I'm going to have to take them off again very soon. But for right now, just using a bit to get them on. Oh, I think I need a smaller bit so it can sink in there. Okay. All right. I think I showed in the previous videos, swapping out the original plate with a different one. That was the original one. Okay. And this is the one that I'm going to be putting on. So for right now, I'm just going to pop it on here. And just looking at straight right now, I don't know if you can see, my feed dogs are way too far that way. So before I can even get them before I can even put the plate on, I'm going to need to loosen up some pivot points down below so I can shift them over. Actually, I am going to very loosely put the screws on here to hold this in place. You know, they're not tightened down, but enough that that's not going to fall off, so I know where I need to go. Okay, so looking at it this way, if you can see, the feed dogs are way over on this side. I need to move them that way, okay? So looking underneath, the feed dogs are attached to this piece here, which is connected to this piece here. Okay, so this whole bar needs to get shifted over. So let me unscrew, and I'm just loosening up this side over here, this right here, until this can move over enough that it's going to fit. So is that good enough? All right. At this point it is, so I'm going to go ahead and screw down this plate and hold the feed dogs in the right position. Okay, so I have the plate screwed on. I have my feed dogs in their highest centered position right now, and I can tell that's not correct. You know, that will be an adjustment, but having that plate on, this is where this needs to be. It's very loose right now, so I can go ahead and tighten up the pivot points so it's going to hold it in the position I want. Okay. So I'm going to hand snug over here. I'm just messing with the screw here. I'm just going to hand snug these nuts really quick, just to make sure that's correct. Tip it down. If it is still good, then I can cinch these up with a wrench. All right, at this point, everything down here looks good to me right now, as far as feed dogs, feed system, everything like that. I'm going to go ahead and start working the nose here. First thing I'm going to do is put my little lifter lever on. She's going to go over here. We have this pin, which is going to go through here. There is a place on the side where a set screw is going to go, and that's going to butt right up against this flat place. Put some oil in here. Pick up things I am dropping. All right. I'm putting this pin in with the flat place towards where that set screw is going to go. Here it is. Put a drop in there and get this cinched up to hold it together. Okay, that moves freely. You didn't see that. Anyway, I put the screw in there to hold it together. This moves freely, so that is good. I am also going to put this thread take-up lever on to move you so you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay. That's not it. This is it. Okay. So, oh my goodness, big screw right here. And before I put that in, I'm going to throw a bunch of oil in here along the groove that runs on the side of this cog. Okay. Right here. Okay, if you put the oil in right there, it kind of runs down that position. So, this, we'll see, different ones go in different ways. Well, that went pretty darn easy. How cool is that? The bearing that's on the bottom here slides into the slot. Lots of room here. Sometimes these are a lot trickier. Well, okay. So let me get this big screw. Oh, we're just going to go right there. Okay. Sorry, bumping the camera. You're right where my hand needs to be. You need to make sure as you're tightening this that that lifter lever can still move, that it's not getting bound up. Let me pull the screw starter off. Alright, can it still move up and down? Oops, I need to engage it. Huh, the wheel's not acting right. Remember I had had issues before? I think that washer is not quite right. I might switch that out for the original washer. Because this one, the tabs, they were pretty much flat. They need to be, I think, a little more bent out. I gotta tell you, I have been fighting with this thing off camera for quite some time now. It's locking up, and I took the time and disengaged everything from the bottom. It was still locked up here. And then I came back and I took off the stitch length and it freed up. And I put the stitch length back on and it's locking, which makes absolutely no sense. And this is moving freely. Excuse me. So, I don't know. I am at the point where I need to walk away for a minute just to figure out my life here and my decisions. And then I'll come back and take it apart again. At some point, I'll take something off, everything will be free, and that'll make sense that that's the thing that I need to work on. And I thought I had done that, and now apparently I haven't. So, just thought I would let you know. I'm not going to leave the camera rolling because it's just a whole bunch of me trying things, you know, and that's not stimulating entertainment. So anyway, there you go. Okay, I think I figured out what it was. This screw on this bar, this is the one that I swapped out. Sorry about that with the other one. It was, this bracket was at an angle so that this screw head was hitting the casting right there. Who'd have thought? I think I have it adjusted so that the feed dogs are usable. And this is going to rock with enough clearance in there now. I'm thinking, I'm hoping. So I'm going to test her out for a little bit. I'm going to put that balance wheel back on because honestly turning it with my hand is kind of a pain. And once I have the balance wheel on and it's going correctly, then we'll go back up and put in the needle bar and presser bar. Look. There we go. It's working. Which is great. Okay. Let me go ahead and get my parts together and see if we can get this part put together. Now I am swapping out the needle bar, the original needle bar. It was just too far gone and I really need it to move smoothly. So, you know, and also the needle clamp and the little pieces, I'm just swapping those out. I really need this to be able to move smoothly in here. I believe the presser bar pieces are all original, so that's a good thing. So yeah, let me go ahead and get started. Okie doke. I have so much oil in here, I probably don't need to oil anything again. While everything was stuck, I just kept adding more and more oil everywhere. Okay, I'm just checking to make sure this has enough clearance to move up and down freely, and it does, so that's good. Setting the presser bar in. All right, you know what? We're putting more oil down here and on the bar itself. Yes, we are. I can always wipe off oil, you know. Okay, I want this flat part here of the bar on this side. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, looking for timing marks or something. I mean, marks to show where this is going to go. And I'm not seeing any, so I'll just use my best judgment. Okay, up here on top, I'm going to put this spring. And then we have this piece. Okay, and you know what? I'm going to oil it up to make sure it's going to do its thing. I believe it will. Let's just give it a shot, huh? This should screw on, and then this is the pressure release button. Come on. How are you going to work? There it goes. All right, so that is screwed down all the way at that point. And I'm going to put this little foot on. This is a new presser foot. And I'm going to put the feed dogs in their down position. Put this on. Get this screwed on here. Thread in there for me. At this point, I feel like my fingers have gone on strike, you know. Okay. Oh, just hold still, will ya? Will ya? All right, I need this to be over the feed dogs. I mean, yeah, put the toes of the foot over those feed dog slots. All right, it's on tight now. So while that is in place and I'm pushing this all the way down, and get this little set screw here. Rub my oily little fingers all over it. Put it drop inside. that up. Okay, look at that. We have a presser foot. Yay! Nice. All right. Needle bar. Rubbing my oily little fingers all over this cast iron piece here. And adding some more oil inside. I am missing something here. I am missing something here. Hang on a sec. I completely forgot that I had taken this bearing off the old machine. So I just want to make sure it's going to fit on this arm, and it is, but I need to get this installed. So it threads through here, and then there's a little nut that goes on the back. So, how is this going to work? Nope, too big. Okay, hang on just one sec. Okay, I know you can't see, but there is actually a little slot in this cam here. Oh, goodness, bad angle. In here, and I'm going to slide that nut up in that slot and try to line it up, eyeballing it where the threads are. I'm going to have to do this without the camera right in front of me, but the thing is I'm going to hold this nut in there with this finger and then try to get this lined up and get it tightened up. Okay. All right, so I was just about to celebrate getting that little post put on. Nice, you know, got the little nut tightened up. Oh my goodness. Righty-tighty, as far much as I can down there. And I went to turn it, and look, it's locked up again. This thing is going to drive me to drink. Oh my gosh. Okay, so once again, let me take a break, flip her upside down, and figure out what her latest problem is. It's this. It is this. Because when that is not a problem, everything moves super, super fast. So I'm going to grab a standard no drop feed bar from a regular Singer Class 15 machine and put that in. I think all of this stuff, it has to be like right perfect, and I just don't feel comfortable that this thing isn't going to shift somehow, and then my customer won't be able to use her machine when it arrives, and that's terrible. So actually, well, hang on a second. Let me just grab another one. All right, the transplant has been done. She's free again. So let me show you. So this is the machine I pulled it out of, and I just stuck that other one in there. But this is a very old Class 15. So you can see they are, you know, the same design. I don't even know when that one was, probably from like 19 teens, I'm guessing. So, flipping, same machine, same machine. But now, yay, everything's moving super freely. So I have high hopes that from here on, hopefully it's smooth sailing. Hopefully. Okay, so what I need to do now is get the needle bar out. And the reason I think that it acted up again is because I had my presser foot on the feed dogs, and the bar I took out is the one that raises and lowers the feed dogs, so that pressure on it was enough pressure to kick that bracket over and jam it up. That's the thought, you know? So anyhow, all right. Get this back down here where I can see it. And I have my little bracket here that is going to go over it. Please fit. You know what, I'm going to back this little screw out on here just a hair. Wow, that's tight. Get a bigger screwdriver. My hands are so greasy. Okay, that's better. Okay, let me work on needle bar stuff. So I'm going to push this piece on. Okay, and this is my needle bar clamp. I'm just going to get this little screw just barely started in the back. And while this is way down here, so I'm lining this up with this hole in the back, I'm going to put some oil on here first. And push it in. Okay, now putting more oil around inside this bushing. Get my needle bar, push it straight down through here. Ooh, you are sticking out too far. Hang on, there it goes. Okay. Now, it should go all the way through down here, and it is. For some reason it's a bit tight, but hey, that's the name of the game with this machine. Once I get it out up here, I think I'll be okay, but I'm just going to rotate it a hair and push down. There it goes. Okay, that feels a lot better. All right. I have timing marks here at the top of this needle bar. Lovely, love to see it. So I want to make sure this is at the very bottom of its travel, down there. And I'm going to line it up so that this top timing mark is at the very bottom of that bushing. And down here, this flat part is facing out. All right, that looks pretty good right there. While I'm holding that, I need to tighten up this screw in the back. So with that done, just spinning it to make sure it's moving freely, and it is, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and get the thread guide and needle clamp on. So here's this. There's a little screw hole in the back right here. Okay, that this is going to get connected with, like that. Well, I need to put it down while I get my screw on. Now this is important to put this on because this end of the little screw here, my depth perception is shot. That is what's going to tell you when you have your needle in all the way. Come on, Marie. Some days are just like that, you know? That's just barely in there. Okay. All right, let me get that tightened up and get this needle clamp on here. Like that. Okay. All right, I will be right back after I tighten that up and we'll move forward. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put a new needle in her, just a regular class 15 needle, since she is a 15. That's the name. This is a size 14. And these are just organ needles, you know. They all work. So let me get that put in, and I can test and see if she's actually going to sew. So at this point, she has her old bobbin in her, and I think I'm down to just one color of thread on there. And obviously we have no tension or anything like that, but just to see, I'm gonna put she doesn't even have her thread spool on, so I just have it sitting down here. I'm gonna put it through there, here and thread the needle. Come on. From the outside in. And right now I just want to see if that bobbin is going to pick up, if the needle is going to pick up the bobbin thread. And it's hitting something, which is not good. All right, I just wanted to show you what it was, you know, because things happen. Down here, this is a hinged foot, a new hinged foot, and this little thread guide is hitting on the hinge part of that foot. So what I'm going to do is move you up out of the way, loosen this, and drop this foot just a bit, and tighten it up again. Let's see if that is enough. No. Because, okay, at the lowest position here, the highest the foot can be is there. Let's just start with that, huh? Right there. Okay. So now, am I going to pick up bobbin thread? No, why not? Why am I not picking up a bobbin thread? I don't even know. This is a little case here. Let me pop it back in. And you know what? I think I might I think my needle is not quite at, my needle bar is not quite at the right height. It's not picking it up at the hook down here. If you can see, let me turn this light on, that might help. All right, when this is coming down, if you can look right there and see, it's all the way down right there, and then it's going to start to come up, but the hook's not in the right place to grab it. So I'm going to adjust my needle bar height until it's going to pick up that thread. So I'm going to pull off my feed dog so I can see everything a little bit better. Take this out of here and work on that, and I'll tell you how it goes. Okay, let me see if I can show you what I'm doing. Right here, this little, there's a little bitty point right there, in there. You see that? That is the hook I'm trying to catch. And on your needle, there's one side that has a cutout in it. Come on, focus for me. A cutout, and one side that is just the straight line, okay? The groove. I need, obviously, the groove to be on the outside. The cutout side is what should always be next to your hook, no matter what kind of machine, okay? And when the hook, that tippy point of that little thing is right there, I need the eye of my needle to be about 1/16 of an inch below it. Okay, so what that means is those timing marks up on the top of the needle bar have absolutely nothing to do with what I am doing here right now, but hopefully it'll work. I'm just trying to cinch up that. Let's turn it and see if it looks right. Going down all the way, coming back up. I think that's right. That looks better to me. I'm going to go ahead and pop the bobbin back in and give it another try. All right, so let's see here. I'm just going to put this under here. Obviously, we have no plate or anything on. I just want to see if this goes down, if it catches the thread. And it did not. Hang on. Let me push it down like I have a plate on here. Okay. Well, it did catch the thread now. You see it going around? So I'm going to put the plate back on and the feed dogs, and then we'll give it another try. Okay, I just put the plate back on. I haven't even tightened that screw all the way, and I turned it, and look, it did pull up the bobbin thread. So there you go. Yeah, the timing marks on this needle have absolutely nothing to do with the correct height. I don't even know. Don't ask me. I have no idea. But we are making it work. I've got to do something. Hang on a second. This screw, tighten it in. Okay. I need to put a spool pin on here because that will make things easier. I still need to put together the bobbin winder and put the belt guard on with the bobbin winder. And I still need to do the tension unit and the front plate. I wanted to show you, I did get find on my machines another back plate that matches this one a lot better. If you remember, she had an old Singer, you know, floral type plate on the bag, which is nice, but it didn't match because the front plate does have stripes on it. So I feel confident enough that I should be able to put this in. Come on. Well, let me move you out of the way because I can't see what I'm doing from up here. Okay, much better. All right, so now that that is on, that's looking lovely. Let me get the front plate on these 15s. The tension unit is part of the whole front plate mechanism. Okay, so I had forgotten while I was cleaning parts, I had put the tension unit back together, and so you are not going to watch me do that because honestly it's so painful so far on this machine. Why aren't you going down? Hang on. Look, okay, please don't be another issue. Look at that. It's too short to accommodate the height that this needs to be. There is no way. Why is that happening? Oh my gosh. I'm wondering if this had gotten bent up some. Oh my gosh. All right, at its highest position, it's way up there. And see, it's so high. It needs to be, this needs to be down at this level, okay? Down here. I'm going to have to see if I can bend this down some. Oh my gosh, I don't want to do that. But now looking at it straight on, now looking at it, I can see that it does look like it was bent a little bit. So let me see what I can do. Actually going to have to take this off because it's too high up and too far out. So I'm going to have to hammer it so that it gets straightened out. Let's see what this looks like and why, huh? Well, it's had better days. Let me see what I can do. I got the one from my parts machine and it works great. So this one's just going to get retired. It looks like it's seen better days, you know. Okay, so with that on now, let's see here. If I tighten that up, can I spin everything still? Yes. Woohoo! Okay. I need to get my bobbin winder pieces out, so let me do that. Before I did that, I just had to see if she would sew, so I got my thread on there. I have it all threaded up. It comes through here, around the tension springs, over this little thumb here, then through the spring, then through the thread take-up lever, then through this eyelet, then through this thread guide, and then through the needle outside in. And I believe she's making a stitch. You know, it's very oily, very dirty and everything. But honestly, even it's not that bad. I think I need to turn up the tension on the thread. But look, oh my gosh, how many decades has it been since she has sewn? Uh-oh, I think my ancient thread on the bottom is starting to run out. But yeah, that's great. Okay, I feel a lot better about that now. So I can go on with my life here. Ooh, that's what was happening down there. Something created a nest, but before the nest, look, we do have stitches. So all of that, yuck, that's oil from the needle and everything, which I'll need to deal with once I know everything works. But very, very positive news here. Very positive news. Okay. Let me get my bobbin winder pieces and pop them down. And yes, I am going with alternative bobbin winder parts because this stuff was just a little too much, you know. So since I have them, why not use them? So we're going to be using these. And actually, it's 5 o'clock. I need to get back down to the house and get some stuff done before my husband leaves for his midnight shift tonight. So I will try to be back up here a little bit later. Good morning. Welcome to the next day. I am determined to finish this machine today. I mean, it's just a bobbin winder and motor and fine tuning, so I think I should be good. For my screwdriver I want. I don't see it, so I'm going to grab this. I'm working with the the original belt guard and the parts machines parts for the bobbin winder here, just because. And so, you know, they are hopefully very interchangeable, you know, learning my lesson and everything. There's a spring underneath here that sets inside, and then this follower goes up on top of it. This is very similar to how a 1591 with the potted motor and everything, how those go together, in case you're interested. Okay, so this is different than a 1591 in that a 1591 has an adjustment screw hole that makes it really handy to hold this on. The adjustment for this is up here, okay? So it's just a little bit different. So I've got my screw in here that has a big shoulder on it. I've got my spring. Right now the spring's just hanging out there, but there's a gap that it's going to need to come over and lock into, okay? But in order for it to lock in, I need this piece on. So this could get kind of messy because I'm going to have to be pushing down and everything, and I know my hands are going to block everything. But the idea is this is going to push up. This screw is going to get screwed in here, and this little part is going to be riding like that on this piece. And this spring is going to be locked in down here, okay? So let me get all that in. I'm not worrying about pushing the spring into the slot right now. First, I'm just going to try to get it, while holding this up, get this wedged in enough that I can get the threads on this screw started in there. Okay, so those threads are started, making sure this is above here. I'm going to get this spring up, and you know what? I think I have that spring in the wrong spot. Oh, shoot. Shoot. Okay, hang on. Okay, like everything else on this machine, difficult, lemon, difficult. First of all, the spring that I was using, I had to be modified a little bit, and this was not quite in alignment with where it needed to be for a bobbin to go through, so had to modify that. And these things, just the springs wanted to pop apart, and since this did not have that secondary little screw hole where I could hold this in place, because it has this up here, it kept falling apart. So I have zip tied things together at this point, and I wanted to show you before I cut my zip ties off. First, I zip tied with a little one this piece. This is that L-shaped bracket here, so that that spring would not fly apart. And then I zip tied this up so I did not have to hold that while I was pushing this. So when I cut this zip tie, this should come down, and when I cut this one, hopefully this will stay together. That's the plan. Okay, so let's see here. Please be okay. Okay, now this has this little push button up here. When you're going to wind a bobbin, see it says push. Make sure my springs are actually going to function here. Okay, I need to figure out where this screw needs to be later, but you push that down and this engages. As the bobbin fills up, it's going to go up, okay? But push that down where it says push to engage. So the question is, if I put a class 15 bobbin on here and push that down, is this going to engage? Oh no, it's not. It's not. You can see it pushed that out just a hair. I'm going to have to work on this over here a little bit more. Drats. Okay. All right. I think we are good now. More modifications, and unfortunately this little wire, I put this thing on and off probably 5 times. So I've got some little scratches there, but that's going to be underneath. It's hidden. No one's going to see it. Nobody will know. It just is what it is. But everything spins well now. And when this is full, it pops up. Okay. Oh, this, you need to make sure it's locked in. There's a little nub that sticks out when you put the bobbin on. You have to turn it until it pops onto that nub there, and then push this down. Okay. So I will try it out once it's on the machine. It goes on with these 2 screws here, and I'm going to need to take the balance wheel back off in order to get to those. But once I pull it off, there's a couple screws into the casting right there, and then I'll put the wheel back on. I can tell you I'm very glad I decided to do this bobbin winder today instead of trying to push through it last night, because I think in that frame of mind it would have pushed me over the edge, you know. But I think we're good. I did just loosely put the motor on, and the motor came with this belt, and it is going to fit, so that's good. So I have that belt over it, which is going to pop on there. I need to tip her back up on her nose though to get the little washer and nut back on. I was about to put the wheel on and realized I have not put a new tire on here. So I'm going to set her down, stretch a new tire on here first, and then put the wheel back on. Okay, got her up, gave her a quick wipe down to get some of my greasy fingerprints off, and let's see if this bobbin winder is actually going to work. I mean, this is still kind of loose. I may need to adjust the placement of this thread guide. So, thinking very hopeful thoughts now. Why aren't you going down? Do I need to adjust this? Yes, I do. All right, backing that screw out, loosening the clutch, and let's hit the pedal. Oops, this needs to go in. Okay, this, I'm screwing it in until that tire makes contact. Maybe a little more. Maybe the tire is greasy. Maybe this, oh, you know what? Shoot, I think that hand wheel is greasy. All right, I'm gonna need to get in here with a Q-tip and glass cleaner and clean up the little place where this tire is rubbing on to make sure there's no oil on it. Okay, so as she runs, I want to pay attention to this line and make sure that this is centered and that my thread is filling up evenly, and it is. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten up this screw here to hold that in place. Yep, that looks good. Okay, I'm just going to call that, oh, you didn't even see, look. It's going back and forth evenly, okay? I think that's good. I don't need to fill up the entire bobbin. I know that's good. So say it's empty, this comes up, this comes off, re-engage the clutch. Why isn't the clutch re-engaging? Oh my gosh, I have that washer on in the wrong position. I'll fix that. Anyway, this has a little lifty plate, which is nice. And I'm gonna pull out the bobbin case, take off that old bobbin with the old thread. And we're gonna pop this one in here. Okay. And make sure the tail is gonna hang out over there. And this is gonna go straight in with that finger engaging in the top. Get over there, thread. Okay, so that's in. Close that up. Now, instead of threading on this side, this is same for a 15, you know, thread it here around the tension discs, back down over this little finger thing there. Okay, and then catch the tail of that spring. So you have some springiness here. And then through the take-up arm, snap it through here, through this thread guide here, and then thread it from the outside going under. It looped around. Okay, there we go. Okay, if I push that through the toes, I should be able to. It snapped on me. Oh my gosh, please people, please. All right, I want to show you something. This was tangling and my fault, but I want to show you what it is. When I put this back together, the end of this little spring sits in a slot there, and for some reason, I did not put it into that slot. I don't know why. Who knows? I'm going to do this over my dish here so that I don't lose that screw. But thread was getting stuck in there, so you know, things happen. Okay, I think I've got her adjusted now. There was a few things. First of all, this is a different shaft than I started with, so I had to move this placement so that this little fork was centered better over the bearing underneath it. Also, down here, this is going to want to come loose. I have it tightened up. You can't cinch it in all the way or else this is going to bind. So this is that conical shaped screw. So you put it as tight as you can with everything moving freely. And then while you're holding this screw in the right position, you cinch this nut up with a wrench. And I've got it as tight as I can right now, but those like to wiggle loose. These also like to wiggle loose. Again, I have them cinched up the best I can with a 9/16 inch wrench and everything. And this adjustment is for the front and back placement of the feed dogs in the slot, okay? This adjustment is for the up and down placement of the feed dogs, so higher and lower, okay? So we've got those adjusted. And I think we're good. So if that's what it's looking like underneath. Okay. So I think that is good. So I'm going to go ahead and put her back onto the base and try to sew with her one more time. All right, she is sewing. This is the bobbin. Just ignore my nasty fingernails, you know. Some people were not meant to have fancy fingernails. But the bobbin tension is good. The upper thread tension is good. That is oil. So as I run her, she's going to clean up. As you can see, this row is already cleaner. I can get her balanced in this box a little bit better. Let's move her forward here where we can see a bit. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, so let's try a shorter stitch length. I still want to tighten up that screw in the back. To tighten up the stitch length lever, I think I'll do that. So this is a shorter stitch. Beautiful little stitch. I hate spam phone calls, don't you? Anyway. Yeah, she's good. She is sewing. So I'm going to turn off the camera, keep working with her, and once I feel comfortable, I'll give her glamour shot. So thank you so much for suffering through this with me. I'm really, really glad that she is able to sew again. You know, it was a grandmother's machine, and she was a total rusty basket case when we started. So I think it's great. I really do. I think it's great. So once again, I hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye.
I found an antique sewing machine, forgotten and alone. I touched her rusty wheels and knew I'd take her home. I brought her to my farm in an Amish neighborhood, where simple living's valued, she'd be loved and understood. I put her on a treadle stand and coaxed her wheel to turn. I felt her joy and easing with my study and concern. I cleaned her and I oiled her, showed her off to all my friends, repaired the hurts of years and let her sew again.